It was a Thursday night, and the rain hadn't stopped since noon. The city looked half-washed, half-drowned, and Waverly Square glowed like a watercolor painting through the mist. At 9:12 p.m., the last tram rolled in. I was already there, waiting for a quiet night. But nothing about that tram was quiet. Not when we opened the rear carriage and found Counselor Edwin Hale slumped in the corner, eyes open, listening to secrets no one else could hear. I've been on the force long enough to know when a crime hides in plain sight. There was no broken glass, no struggle, no cry for help, just a faint, bitter almond in the air, and a man who'd boarded the tram alive but hadn't made it to his stop. The driver swore he saw Hale get on at Brayford Street, same as two others, a woman with red gloves, a bookbinder who smelled of glue. By the time they reached Waverly Square, Hale was gone, dead, but without a mark on him. I stepped into that tram myself. The floor creaked, water dripped from the windows, and on the brass rail near Hale's seat I saw a faint smudge that didn't belong. In his pocket I found three things: a folded note that said, "Waverly, last tram, no more delays," a stub for a charity gala, and a silver pen engraved with his initials. Whoever killed him hadn't done it with a knife or a gun. This was poison, silent, fast, precise. The kind of crime that doesn't announce itself. I took statements. The teacher, Lorna Best, claimed she was reading at the front, her red gloves folded neatly in her lap. Calm voice, steady answers. But her eyes kept drifting to Hale's body like she was memorizing it. The bookbinder, Harris Cole, was different. Nervous blinks, heavy satchel on his lap, the kind of man who looked like he lived in shadows. He said he didn't know the counselor, said he was just fixing hymnals. Funny thing is, politics has a way of gluing itself to people like him whether they admit it or not. Back at the station, I couldn't shake the smudge on that brass rail. We tested it. Resin mixed with microcrystals of a rare contact poison, applied under the rail, invisible, waiting for the right touch. The tram jolts at Riders Lane. Everyone knows it. If you grabbed that rail at the wrong time, you'd get more than balance. You'd get a dose strong enough to stop your heart before the tram even reached the square. But then why only Hale? Why not the others? That's when I remembered the silver pen, a nervous tick. Hale steadied himself with the rail, then fiddled with his pen. Small movements, harmless to anyone else, fatal to him. I pulled Cole's satchel apart piece by piece. Brushes, paste, awls, nothing unusual, until I found a bottle marked fixative. Inside, not fixative at all, but the solvent used to spread that exact resin. And in the lining a receipt, 2 hours old, brass polish, gloves, a stencil brush bought near City Hall, the kind of shopping list you don't carry onto a tram by mistake. When I confronted him, Cole didn't fight. He sighed like a man whose spine had finally cracked under its own weight. He said Hale's audit was about to expose him. Contracts, dummy firms, debts he'd buried under a false name. He wanted to stall the vote, scare Hale into missing a day. But poison doesn't scare. It silences. I wrote it all down in my notebook, my pen scratching across the page in the same rhythm as the rain outside. When I looked up, Cole was staring at the cracks in the table veneer, fascinated. He asked for tea, asked about the make of my pen, as if tools still mattered when he'd already chosen his. People think solving a case feels like slamming a door. It doesn't. It feels like a tram easing into an empty square, brakes sighing, lights flickering, the world still pretending it's the same. Hale was gone, Cole was in custody, and the rain kept falling like nothing had changed. Later that night, I rode the tram back myself. I stood where Hale had sat. I touched the rail with a handkerchief, polished clean now. Outside, the square yawned awake. The city stretched. A clock struck 9. Justice is public, murder is private. Between the two lies the ride we all take, routine, anonymous, a little rain on glass, and the quiet calculation of someone who hopes no one looks too closely at the smudge under the rail. On nights like that, I still ride the last tram. And when we jolt at Riders Lane, I watch the reflections in the window, not the passengers. Because I know, every city keeps its secrets in plain sight.